Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome back, witnesses, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to focus on a larger issue today that affects every U.S. consumer and consumers all over the world, which is heavy investment in volatile and unfriendly countries such as Russia and China. Ms. Fraser, Mr. Diamond, and Mr. Moynihan, each of your banks had significant investments in Russia, which you drew down after Putin's invasion of Ukraine. While American sanctions were an impetus for those actions, it should be said you did the right thing by shrinking your assets there. We learned two important lessons during the period. Number one, there's a large risk in investing in volatile nations with dictatorial governments. And number two, your investments play a significant role in supporting those nations' economies. In recent months, China has continually threatened our ally Taiwan with military exercises and violent rhetoric. Should the CCP follow through on its threat to invade Taiwan, are your banks prepared to pull your investments out of China? Mr. Moynihan, you want to start first?
Sure. I think we'll follow the government's guidance, which has been for decades to do to work with China. And if they change that position, we'll immediately change it, as we did in Russia.
Ms. Fraser?
Yes, we would do likewise. We would follow the government guidance on that. We very much hope it doesn't happen.
Mr. Diamond?
Yeah, we would absolutely salute and follow whatever the American government said, which is what you want us to do.
I appreciate your willingness to follow U.S. law, and your banks have made statements and business decisions that go well beyond you. But you've made decisions that go well beyond U.S. law and enter the realm of moral judgments. For example, in 2018, Citi and Bank of America announced lending restrictions to certain gun manufacturers and retailers. In 2019, J.P. Morgan publicly announced it will not fund private prisons. None of these decisions were made because of a law passed by Congress. Mr. Diamond, would an invasion of an American ally be enough for J.P. Morgan to make the moral determination to stop doing business with the Chinese?
Missed the question?
I say, if an invasion of an American ally would be enough for J.P. Morgan to make the moral determination to stop doing business with the Chinese Communist Party?
We'll have to decide when that happens.
You're not going to commit to pulling assets out of China if they invade Taiwan. That's what you just said.
The first thing I would do is call the American government and ask for guidance. That's what I would do. That's what they would expect me to do.
Mr. Moynihan and Ms. Fraser.
It would be the same in terms of decision, but we always look at clients and risk. And in fact, you'd find that before the Russia situation took place in Ukraine, we made adjustments to our risk, and we do that all the time in every country that is volatile, irrespective of.
Ms. Fraser?
Clearly, it would be driven by the government. In the occasion you're talking about, that would be driven by the government rules and regulations and laws and Congress's desire.
Ms. Fraser?
Similar to both of Mr. Diamond and Mr. Moynihan, the first call would be to the U.S. government to understand what they would be expecting and wanting us to do in the time frames to do so.
Suppose the government said it's up to you to make your own decision. It's a business decision on your part. What would you say?
It's highly likely that we would have a materially reduced presence, if any at all, in the country.
So if the business decision were left up to you, you would pull out probably, or reduce some assets.
It's a hypothetical question, but it is highly likely that we would have a reduced presence.
Okay. Each of your banks have published statements pledging your commitment to supporting and protecting human rights around the globe. According to the State Department's 2021 report, genocide and crimes against humanity occurred in China last year. Those crimes include arbitrary and unlawful killings by the government, arbitrary imprisonment, forced sterilization, rape, and torture of a large number of those arbitrarily detained. Mr. Moynihan, do you condemn the Chinese Communist Party for those horrible acts that they regularly carry out?
We look at any client we do business with to their operations in any matter, and we make that decision. So the governmental condemnation isn't the important thing of who we do business with China. It's actually the company that we underwrite. It's client selection, as we call it, sir.
Would you explain that again? I missed that. I'm sorry.
I think the question is, when we look at what we do in a country, it's individual clients. It's not a theoretical concept. So we look at that client. If that client's...
Mr. Moynihan, with all due respect, the government of China is the Communist Party. The Communist Party of China is the government. If you're doing business in that country, you're doing it willingly with respect to them allowing you to be there. And you're doing it under their laws, which the last time you were here, one of you three actually made that comment. So if they're committing these atrocities, are you okay with that? Are you willing to continue to do business with people who are committing these kind of atrocities? Whenever you say in other statements that that's a bad deal.
We don't do business with companies that we believe are doing atrocities or something like that. You're asking a hypothetical
You're
question.
doing it
about
under
somebody-
protection and auspices of this government. That's my point. Ms. Frazier?
We obviously take any accusations of human rights abuses very, very seriously. Similar to Mr. Moynihan, we do not do any activity with companies that are involved, forced labor.
It's okay to do business
or
with the
like.
government,
We do business with
even though
government, but we
they
do not
commit those atrocities. Thank you. I yield back.